This is it, everyone. This is part 5, and of course the final part of the boss guide for the console version for The Legend of Spyro the Eternal Night. It's in this episode that we're heading off to the mountain of Malefor. The assassin faces up for round 2, and Gaul the Ape King himself ends up getting a bit of the bruising as well. Man, I can't believe we've all come so far already. But you know what we have to do now? We're gonna have to conclude this in style. Okay, here comes the assassin once again. This is located after one of the largest enemy swarms around the entire stage. And it's probably the second to last major enemy encounter before you end up facing Gaul himself. The strategy basically remains the same as the previous few encounters against him and the Scurvy Wing, but there is a slight difference in terms of the damage he ends up taking. For some reason, you can only hit him when he's rising up into the air, so you need to be a little bit more careful with how you chuck those fireballs this time. Other than that, the basics when it comes to dodging the red fireballs and stuff end up remaining pretty much the same. And that's the least I can probably say at this point. It may end up being a little bit of a longer and more tedious fight due to this health exchange, so to speak. But once you put 2 and 2 together, you'll end up clearing him down in no time at all. See? All there is now is the big guy himself. Let's head to it! Woo-hoo! Here's the final encounter itself. Gaul the Ape King is on the rise. Okay, so we're in the cutscene prior to this one, which I didn't show here due to video size constraints. Gaul ended up revoking you of your breath and fury powers for some interesting reason. So this means that the only way you can potentially damage him throughout this entire first phase is through melee attacks. Hey, at least this kind of thing would transition well into the next game in case Spyro would have to pick up his breath powers up again. Okay, according to his attack roster, his main force of damage is through his jumps. If he ends up trying to slam his swords into the ground really near to you, it's best to try and avoid using Dragon Time to help you get out of the way. Otherwise, it's all a good case of jumping over the shockwaves that end up showing up on the floor. Once the swords are stuck into the ground, that's when his most vulnerable point ends up kicking in. Great, I just can't say anything. Other than the sword technique itself, he also tends to try and attack you from a distance with his green plasma balls. But that's nothing that a quick dodge can't solve, isn't it? And you would have also thought that those green torches on the ground were just for show. There are rumours around here that destroying all of them in the arena would reduce the chance of getting a one-hit KO by one of Gaul's jumps. But after trying to get used to the whole thing, I think it's probably just there as a time waster, if anything. Something to try and speed up the process of waiting for him to get his sword stuck or something. But I shouldn't be too worried about it. You also need to be careful with the way you hit him as well, because he could counter you back with a mean sword technique if you end up being too close. Still, now that I think about it, it could absolutely be nothing in comparison to what those deadly jumps will provide. If you end up being careful enough and being able to get him down this far, then this first form should be a bit of the breeze. See? We're pretty much almost done here.
Your time is over, dragon.
now, for Form 2, you end up coming out from that purple light ahead as Dark Spyro, a more lethal form than anyone could possibly imagine concerning this dragon. Okay, there were two differences I ended up not noticing with this form itself. Even though Gaul does tend to have hard to hit attacks, they only tend to take off nothing more than a stroke of damage as far as Spyro's defense is concerned. Either that or Gaul's attack might have been on the decrease since his fall, but we shouldn't worry too much about that. Anyway, concerning his attack roster, when he does his tornado, it's best to try and charge away as sharp as you can. Try and use Dragon Time if necessary if you end up getting really close. Then when he ends up getting tired, that's your way to hit him when he's most vulnerable. I would suggest to newcomers to end up attacking from a little bit of a distance with your convexity breath, quote unquote. If you end up getting too close, he could end up hitting you harder than a soldier, and I mean a standard small soldier. That's actually about 5 times his size. Now that would be pretty lethal to you. The next attack I ended up showing you there was his laser eyes. I'm not sure if it's laser eyes, but it's laser something, alright. If you end up dodging them well with Dragon Time, all 3 of them in fact, then you'll end up getting him in his vulnerable spot once again. So that makes things all the more thoughtful, yeah? Apparently Zerodius at darkspyro.net ended up dealing with an alternate version of the fight in which you ended up dealing with all melee attacks in front of him, trying to dodge all sorts of nasty sword encounters from him. I haven't been able to test it myself since I didn't have much time, but I might do in the future though. And here comes his third other attack if you're doing the standard way of attacking. His bombs falling down. Somehow you need to keep out of the way of the bombs, but for some reason I just can't even tell where exactly they're meant to land. And another weird benefit is that there's green gems everywhere, so that's trying to make the fight a little bit more of the breeze than you could possibly imagine. I don't know if it's a bit of a cop-out or not, but it probably depends from gamer to gamer. Huh. Ooh, that must have been the closest tornado encounter I ended up facing. Keep going, and you face this.
What are you waiting for, dragon? Finish me! Coward.
Activate your fury, and you're just about done. All you have to do now is watch back at this interesting defeat here that Gaul would end up facing. I say it's pretty lethal in comparison to most Spyro-based enemies, and I think it's pretty cool due to that, eh? Yeah. That's enough to show the final wave of complexity fury. And it really shows the true mind of Dark Spyro at this point. Rockin', pun intended. And now it's time we end up going towards the final conclusion from here.
Spyro? What have I done?
You're okay, Spyro. You're with friends.
I'm sorry. I couldn't stop.
Uh-oh! That's our only way out!
Oh no! We're trapped!
Ride out this storm and live to fight another day.
Get close to me! Now!
So we've done all the bosses, but we aren't necessarily facing a joyous conclusion. Still, this is where I thought for the next Legend Dark title will end up coming into focus, but that's probably to be saved for another time and another place. This is Rexy signing out, having taken you through all all of the boss battles in the entire console version of The Legend of Spyro the Eternal Night, and hope to catch you on YouTube sometime later with another set of videos on display, whatever they could end up being. Okay, thank you very much.